Please comment where you are watching in the world. I thought I was going on a romantic drive. You know, second date energy, windows down, music up, the kind of night where you lean back in the passenger seat and think, maybe this could go somewhere. And technically it did go somewhere. Right up to the edge of a cliff. But let me back up. We'd gone on our first date a week before. It was chill. Nothing dramatic. He was cute in that put-together but not trying too hard kind of way. Tall, smelled good, knew how to hold a conversation. He didn't give me butterflies, but he didn't give me red flags either. And sometimes, that's enough to get you to a second date. He hit me up a few days later. Want to go for a drive tonight? I know a spot. Now that phrase, I know a spot, should have sent me running, because every terrible story I've ever told starts with a man knowing a spot. But I was in a good mood. I said yes. Threw on something cute but casual. A hoodie, leggings, lip gloss. Just enough to say, I'm here but not pressed. He picks me up right around sunset. The sky is giving soft pinks and blues, that pre-nightfall glow that makes everything feel cinematic. His car is clean, music low, windows cracked just enough for a breeze. And for the first 30 minutes, it's giving vibes. We're talking, laughing, even holding hands across the center console. He compliments my laugh. I compliment his playlist. It's nice. Too nice. We start heading out of the city. I'm not paying too much attention at first. I figure he's taking me to some overlook, maybe a beach, something scenic. He says, it's a really beautiful view. I come here when I want to think. Okay, poetic. But the roads start to change. Less streetlights. Fewer cars. Then no cars. Just winding roads, tight curves, and absolute silence outside the car. I glance at him. He's still smiling. Still chatting like nothing's weird. But now I'm gripping the door handle a little tighter. The road narrows. It starts to incline. Trees disappear, replaced by rocky edges and steep drop-offs. I realize we're on a mountain road. A cliffside road. I ask, where exactly are we going? He says, just wait. You'll love it. That's when he starts driving faster. I'm not talking a little over the limit fast. I'm talking tires screeching, curves drifting fast. He speeds up as the road gets sharper. I'm pressed against the door, my breath caught in my throat, and all I can think is, he's going to kill me. But I don't say anything yet. I'm frozen. Paralyzed. I want to believe this is still okay. That he's just being reckless, not malicious. Then I see it. Up ahead, the road just ends. It literally cuts off into a wide gravel patch, and beyond that, nothing but fog, stars, and a vertical drop into darkness. He doesn't slow down. I scream, "What are you doing?" He slams the brakes at the last possible second. The car skids across the gravel, stopping just a few feet from the edge. My heart is pounding so loud I can't hear anything else. I'm shaking, hands numb. I think I might throw up. And this man is laughing, like full belly-deep laughter, like he just pulled off the prank of the century. He looks at me and says, "Yo, that was fun, right? You should have seen your face." I don't respond. I can't. I'm still trying to figure out if I just imagined all of that. If maybe I'm overreacting. But no. I look out the window and see the cliff. The actual cliff. We're parked at the edge of it. One wrong move, and we would have gone airborne. He leans back in his seat, still grinning. I used to do that with my boys all the time. It's just for the thrill. You were safe the whole time. Safe? Oh, so now I'm supposed to be grateful? I finally find my voice. Take me home. He blinks. Wait, you're mad. I don't answer. I'm already texting my location to my best friend. Meanwhile, he's still trying to make jokes. It's not that deep. Come on, live a little. I say it again. Slower. Take me home. He sighs, mutters something under his breath, and finally turns the car around. The drive back is silent. I'm staring out the window, replaying the moment over and over. The way he sped up. The way he smiled through it. The way he thought scaring me half to death was a bonding experience. And the worst part, for a second, I almost laughed with him. Because that's what we're conditioned to do, right? Laugh it off. Don't make it awkward. Don't upset the man who literally just showed you he can play with your life like it's a game. By the time we get back to the city, I already know I'm never speaking to him again. I get out of the car, don't say goodbye, don't look back. I walk straight into my building, go upstairs, and sit on my bed in silence for 10 minutes. Then I block him. I tell my friends, and they're horrified. One of them says, that could have turned into a crime scene. Another says he's a psycho. And honestly, they're right. I look back on it now and realize how close I came to something that could have ended so differently. All because I trusted someone who thought fear was funny, who thought playing chicken with a cliff was a cute second date idea. So yeah, I survived. But it changed the way I date. Now, I ask questions. I don't get in cars with men I barely know. I don't go to spots that aren't on Google Maps. And I never, ever ignore my gut. It was winter, I was single, and I hadn't been on a real date in a while. He looked good in his photos, tall, dark, clean cut, with that low-effort charm that makes you think, okay, he could be a vibe. His profile said he was from England, worked in the city, no kids, never married, just out of a long-term relationship. It all sounded believable, solid enough to let him take me out. We FaceTimed through that random app, and he looked just like his pictures. That eased my mind. He said he was 5 feet 9 inches, which I appreciated because I'm also 5 feet 9 inches, and I'm not trying to tower over anybody. He had a nice accent, a chill energy. It wasn't fireworks, but it felt safe, at least safe enough to meet in public. When he finally asked me out, I told him to meet me somewhere near my house. He didn't have a car, which wasn't a deal breaker. Lots of people in the tri-state area rely on public transportation. But when he asked if I could pick him up from his place, yeah, that was a no from me. I told him he could hop on the train and meet me at the restaurant. He agreed. Cool. The night of the date, I was running late. Fashionably, of course. I texted him to let him know, and he replied, "No problem, I'm already here. I'm grabbing a drink at the bar next door." It was cold. One of those New York winter nights where the air bites your face and your ears go numb. I rushed in, expecting to see the same guy from the FaceTime call. But that's not what happened. This man, who approached me like we were long-lost lovers, was not the man in the photos. I mean, technically it was, but not really. He looked like a version of himself after a few rough years, and maybe a bar fight or two. He said he was 5 feet 9 inches, but he was definitely 5 feet 6 inches on a good day. He looked older, more tired, and very, very drunk. I froze. He grinned like we were about to have the best night of our lives. I smiled back like I wasn't already planning my escape. But I was already out, already dressed, already freezing. I figured, okay, just go to the restaurant. Eat. Survive. Leave. I didn't want to waste the night entirely. We sit down, and he immediately starts ordering more drinks. I'm talking shots, cocktails, the works. I'm sipping water and watching him spiral into drunken chaos. He's loud, talking with his hands, knocking things over. I'm trying to keep the mood light, but inside, I'm screaming. Midway through the meal, he leans in and says, "Give me a kiss." I blink. "Excuse me?" He repeats it. "Give me a kiss." I laugh awkwardly. "We just met. Let's slow down." But he doesn't let it go. He gets louder. "Why won't you kiss me? You don't like me?" Now people are looking. The waitress comes over and asks if everything's okay. I lie and say, "Yeah, all good." But it's not. Not even close. He keeps drinking. The conversation gets weirder. He starts ranting about his ex, about how people can't handle real men, about the government. I excuse myself to go to the restroom and immediately call my friend. "Girl," I whisper into the phone, "I'm on a date with a drunk lunatic. He's not who I thought he was. I need to leave." She's like, "Then go. What are you waiting for?" Before I can respond, I open the bathroom door, and he's standing right there. "What are you doing?" he slurs. "I was using the restroom," I say, trying to sound calm. "Who are you talking to?" he presses. I lie. "No one. I was leaving a voice note." He stares at me. I squeeze past him and return to the table. He follows. That's when I knew I had to make my exit. I couldn't just leave, though. I was genuinely afraid he'd follow me to my car. So I kept my cool, pretended everything was fine, smiled, nodded, let him keep ranting. Then he saw a waiter outside on a smoke break and said, "I know that guy. I'm gonna go say what's up." The moment he stepped outside, I turned to our waitress and said, "I need your help. I'm on a first date and I'm really uncomfortable." She didn't even hesitate. "We already noticed. The manager's been watching your table." I almost cried from relief. "Can you split the check?" I asked. "I just want to pay and go." She nodded. "Already on it." She brought my half of the bill. I paid. I waited until I saw him still outside, pacing, talking to the waiter. Then the chef appeared, this big guy with a kind face, and asked if I wanted him to walk me to my car. Bless that man. I said yes. They snuck me out the back door like I was escaping from a hostage situation. The chef walked me all the way to my car, stood there while I got in, and even waited for me to start the engine before waving goodbye. I blocked my date's number before I even pulled out of the parking lot. He still had time, though. He must have realized I was gone because he started blowing up my phone, calls, voicemails, texts. Where did you go? Why did you leave me here? What did I do wrong? I didn't respond to any of it, but a few days later, curiosity got the best of me. I called the restaurant to thank them for helping me and to ask about the waiter, the one my date claimed was part of a secret society. The manager laughed nervously. Yeah, that guy? He never came back to work. Just stopped showing up. We don't really know him. So now I'm sitting here wondering if I accidentally stumbled into some cult-adjacent drama. Maybe he was in a secret society. Maybe the waiter was too. Maybe I was 2 minutes away from being initiated into something I wanted no part of. All I know is, that was the last time I ever agreed to meet someone from a dating app without at least 3 backup plans and a location pin shared with my entire family. Online dating may work for some people, but for me, it was a disaster. A weird, chaotic, sometimes terrifying disaster filled with catfish, cults, and cocktails I didn't order. Lesson learned. I should have known from the moment I ordered that caramel macchiato that this night wasn't going to go the way I thought. I mean, it started off so normal. Too normal. I was bored, honestly. It was one of those weeks where the group chat was dry, I had nothing due for class, and I hadn't flirted with anybody in a while. So when he texted me, someone I'd known on and off for a couple of years, I figured why not. We'd always had this weird, undefined thing. Not quite friends, definitely not lovers, just orbiting each other. The occasional DM, flirty banter. A few we should hang out sometime messages that never went anywhere. But this time he followed through. He invited me to his place for a chill night. Movies, card games, casual drinks. Something low effort, low stakes. I said yes. I didn't overthink it. I even put on my, maybe I'll stay the night, maybe I won't outfit. You know the one, cute but cozy, just enough effort to suggest I care without looking like I planned to care. When I got there, I realized his loft was above a hotel. Fancy, right? Not like 5-star luxury, but definitely nicer than what I was expecting. The lobby had this little coffee station, and I was genuinely tired, so I was like, bet. I could use some caffeine. I ordered a caramel macchiato and waited. That's when the first red flag walked in, literally. He looked at me and said casually, "Oh, my ex is about to walk this way." I blinked. "You're what?" "My ex," he repeated like it was no big deal. "She lives here." "Oh," I said, still trying to keep my face neutral. "That's convenient." I didn't even have time to process it before she came strutting past us. He called out her name, Ashton. Ashton. And she just kept walking like she didn't hear a damn thing. I was sipping my macchiato like it was a front row seat to some cable drama. "She must be upset," I said, because duh. "She was cool with me until now," he replied, like it was my fault she was mad. I raised an eyebrow. "She's mad because you're here with someone else. Are y'all cool or not?" He shrugged, and I let it go. Not my business. Or at least, it shouldn't have been. 5 minutes later, coffee in hand, we headed to the elevator. And guess who we saw again? Yep. Ashton. Round 2. This time, she wasn't ignoring him. She looked pissed. He tried to speak to her again. "Ashton." And she shut it down quick. "I'm good," she snapped. Then she looked at me dead in the eye and said, "This is Cameron." I didn't even blink. She said it like she was serving me a warning. Like she was letting me know I was walking into enemy territory. I just sipped my drink. He said, "She knows about you." She said, "I could care less." Then her elevator opened, she stepped inside, and the doors closed like the final scene in a soap opera. We got in a separate elevator, and I'll admit, I was amused. I should have been concerned, but there's something about being the girl who makes the ex jealous that gives you a little ego boost. I was still sipping my coffee, minding my business, and thinking, at least this night won't be boring. We got inside his place, and I barely had time to take off my jacket before he said, "I need to go talk to her." I froze. "You what?" He was already putting his shoes back on. I need to clear the air. I'll be back in a few." And then he left. Just like that. Left me in his apartment, alone, with my macchiato and a bottle of liquor I brought myself. I sat there, stunned. I didn't want to believe it. I was trying to rationalize it. Like, maybe he really just wants to make peace. Maybe he'll be back in 5 minutes. 10 tops. 30 minutes passed. I started pacing. 45 minutes passed. Now I was heated. Not just because he left me alone, but because I had paid for that liquor. He said he would reimburse me. He even offered to. And now he's disappeared to go chase closure with his ex. Nah, I wasn't taking a financial L and an emotional one. If I was going to be disrespected, I wasn't going to pay for it too. I texted him. No response. I started doing the math in my head. Uber home would be about $20. Not terrible, but still. I was already out a bottle of liquor and a night of my time. I didn't want to add insult to injury. I debated whether I should take the liquor back with me. I mean, technically it was mine. I brought it, but I also didn't want to look petty. For about 3 minutes, I stood there holding the bottle, weighing my choices like it was a moral dilemma. Eventually I said, screw it. Took my caramel macchiato in one hand, bottle in the other, and walked the hell out of there. In the Uber, I replayed the whole night in my head. The ex. The weird energy. Him just leaving me there like I was a placeholder. I didn't even get a text saying, hey, I'll be right back. Not an update. Not a sorry, this is taking longer than I thought. Nothing. By the time I got home, it had been well over an hour, and I still hadn't heard from him. I sat on my bed, bottle next to me, sipping the rest of my coffee and wondering what the hell just happened. Was I his scapegoat? Did he bring me there just to make her jealous? Was this all a ploy? I had so many questions and no answers. And honestly, I didn't even care anymore. I blocked him the next day. That was it. No confrontation. No closure. Just vibes and a very expensive night that ended with me drinking my feelings and texting my group chat like, y'all won't believe the date I just had. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't even a date. It was a lesson, a reminder, that if someone's still caught up in their ex, they're not fit to be inviting anyone over for movie night. Especially not someone who brings their own liquor and deserves better. So yeah, that's how I got ghosted in real time, face to face, while holding a caramel macchiato in a stranger's apartment. And to this day, I can't smell that drink without thinking of Ashton, elevator drama, and the night I should have just stayed home and watched Netflix by myself. I wasn't expecting a fairy tale. I just wanted to smoke a little, flirt a little, maybe get something to eat and not pay for it. That's it. That's all I really wanted. But what I got instead was a terrifying, paranoia-fueled night that had me questioning my entire sense of safety, trust, and judgment. And I had to learn real quick that just because someone seems chill doesn't mean they won't drive you into a horror movie set. I was 21 in college, not new to men but definitely new to dating for real. Not the we hang out in your car and pretend it's romantic kind of dating. I mean real dates. Where you get ready, plan outfits, maybe shave if you feel like being extra, and imagine a cute little night. I hadn't had much experience, especially not in high school. I was invisible back then, which means nobody was exactly training me for the dating world. So I had to learn on the fly, mostly by watching TV, listening to my friends' messy stories, and making a few mistakes of my own. This guy, he seemed okay. Not a red flag at first glance. We had spoken a few times, exchanged memes, talked enough for me to feel like I could trust him to pick me up from campus without it turning into a Law and Order episode. I got ready with my usual mix of excitement and anxiety. Hair laid, edges slick, lashes moderately dramatic. I picked my outfit with care. You know, something that says I'm cute but not trying too hard, which, ironically, takes the most effort. I even spritzed that vanilla-scented perfume that makes me feel like the main character. I was ready. When he pulled up, it was early evening. The sun was just starting to dip, and the air had that chilly fall bite that makes you wish cardigans were warmer than they are. As soon as I got in the car, I felt the air shift. It wasn't that anything was obviously wrong, but the conversation was dry. He played music, nodded a lot, and didn't really ask questions. Whatever, maybe he was nervous. I tried not to overthink it. We smoked. And I mean we smoked. One thing about me is I can hold my own, but this time, I was smacked. Not giggling and lightheaded, but full-on floating. That kind of high where you start questioning everything around you. Like, is the air in this car weird? Or why do his windshield wipers look suspicious? That kind of high. I was in my head heavy, trying to play it cool while my body was on a slow delay, and my mind was running a mile a minute. Things started to feel off when we passed my dorm. I had my location pulled up on maps because I knew I wouldn't be able to rely on memory. I'm bad with directions even when I'm sober, and now I was high and slightly paranoid. So when I saw we were getting close to my place and then drove right past it, I felt my stomach drop. I looked at him like, didn't we just pass my building? He glanced at me, smiled like he had something charming to say, and hit me with, "I don't want the night to end yet." Now listen, that might have been cute if we were on our third date, and I actually liked him. But I was high, cold, and hungry. I didn't even know him like that. So now I'm confused, and my high is turning on me. I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's going to swing around. Maybe there's a back road I don't know about. Maybe I'm just tripping. But he keeps driving. The silence is getting heavier. Then he says, "I gotta use the bathroom." Again, I say nothing. I'm trying to stay calm, not panic, not sound crazy. I'm thinking maybe he's going to stop at a convenience store or a fast food place. But no, we just keep driving. More turns, less streetlights, fewer cars. My phone is still in my lap with the map open, and the blue dot is getting farther and farther from the dorm. That's when I start internally screaming. Then he says the words that make my skin crawl. "Maybe I'll just take you to my place." I didn't say a word. I just stared forward, blinking slowly, trying to process. I didn't want to freak out, but I also wasn't about to be polite and end up on a missing persons flyer. Before I could even respond, he switches it up again and says, "Nah, maybe not. I know a spot." A spot? I don't want to go to a spot. I want to go home. But I didn't say that. I just sat there frozen, trying to figure out my next move. A few minutes later, we pull up to this industrial-looking area. It's dark. Like no streetlights, no cars, no people, just this half-finished building that looks like a warehouse, or maybe an abandoned construction site. It's cold, dead silent, and creepy as hell. There are concrete slabs, scattered piles of wood, and trees that looked like they were hiding secrets. It felt like the set of a horror movie. He turns off the car and looks at me like this is normal. My heart is beating so loud I can barely hear him when he says, "I just like to come here sometimes." I lost it. "Take me home. Take me home now." He looks surprised. "What? You good?" "No," I say, my voice shaking. "I'm not good. I'm high, I'm scared, and you just drove me into the middle of nowhere. I think you're going to kill me. Take me home." He tries to laugh it off. "You're tripping. You paranoid as hell." "Yes, I am. And I should be. This is scary. I don't know you like that, and you brought me to a dark-ass construction site. You're scaring me. Take me home." He shakes his head like I'm the crazy one. "Yeah, this ain't gonna work. You too much." "Good. Take me home." He finally starts the car and drives me back, but not even all the way to my dorm. He drops me at the academic building on campus, like I'm some Uber pool passenger he's tired of. I had to walk 10 minutes in the cold, still high, heart pounding, looking over my shoulder the entire way. I was convinced someone was following me. I thought there was a tracker in my pants. I was spiraling. When I got to my dorm, I locked the door, sat on my bed, and recorded a video for the group chat. My hair looked like I had just survived a natural disaster. My voice was shaky. I whispered into the camera, "Bro, I thought I was gonna die tonight. This man drove me to some abandoned warehouse. I thought it was over for me." The next morning, I woke up still shaken. I laughed about it with my friends, but deep down I felt off. And for some reason, maybe guilt, maybe curiosity, I reached out to him a week later. Not in a let's talk way, but just asking about this product he had mentioned selling. Something low-key. I just wanted to make conversation, see where his head was at. I asked how much it cost. He told me. I said thanks and mentioned I might just get it in New York instead. He lost his mind. He started cursing me out, blowing up my phone with messages. He accused me of wasting his time, said I was leading him on, and then told me to unalive myself. Like what? All because I asked for a price. Blocked. Immediately. I never looked back. It took me a while to really unpack what happened that night, but here's what I know now. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't being dramatic. My instincts were screaming at me, and for once, I listened. That situation could have ended very differently if I had stayed quiet to avoid making it awkward. We're taught to be polite, to not make a scene, but your safety is more important than someone else's comfort. It started on a quiet Thursday afternoon when I matched with a guy named Thorin on Tinder. I didn't respond to his first message right away. I never do. But when he followed up with a second, more enthusiastic note, I gave him a chance. We started chatting, and within minutes he was suggesting we meet that very evening. "Let's go to the movies," he said. "I really want to see you." It felt a little fast, but he was so charming and persistent that I agreed. He even sent the showtime and told me he'd already bought the tickets. We kept messaging throughout the day, building up this idea of an instant connection. A few hours before the movie, Thorin texted me saying his car was in the shop and he'd need to Uber. Then he slipped in, rather casually, "It would really mean a lot if you picked me up." That should have been a red flag, but I was already emotionally committed, so I politely declined and told him to take the Uber instead. He agreed. We arrived at the theater early to have some time to talk before the film. I parked in a well-lit area near the entrance, surrounded by other cars and people just in case. When Thorin got into my car, he was all smiles and seemed relaxed. I felt a little more at ease, until I remembered the cold sore on my lip. It was something I had to disclose, especially if the date went in a romantic direction. So nervously I told him. I said he could leave if that changed anything. He laughed it off and said, "No big deal. I just got over one myself." Then, without hesitation, he leaned in to kiss me. I was stunned. We had known each other for less than an hour. His hands started to wander, and I instinctively pulled away, trying to shift the conversation. That's when things got weird. I asked casually about his car, trying to steer the vibe back to neutral. That's when he confessed that it wasn't just in the shop. He had lost his license after a DUI on the 4th of July. I sat in quiet disbelief. The man had lied to me just to get me to pick him up. The finance guy act started to unravel quickly. He kept trying to kiss me. Then he took my hand and tried to move it to a place I didn't want it to go. I pulled back completely and told him, firmly but politely, that I wasn't there for that. His entire demeanor shifted. The charming, eager personality vanished. He became cold, dismissive, and irritated. "That's what I came here for," he said bluntly. I was stunned. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he started urging me to move my car to the back of the theater, where it was completely dark and isolated. I refused. When I said no again, he accused me of leading him on. "You agreed to go on a date. You knew what this was," he muttered. Trying to keep the situation from escalating, I played along just enough to keep him calm. I didn't want to see what might happen if I pushed him too far. He joked that he could kill me and steal my car. I laughed nervously, but I knew in my gut this wasn't a joke. Something was really off. Eventually, Thorin asked if I would at least wait with him for his Uber. I agreed, still trying to keep things peaceful. When the car arrived, he got out and left. I locked my doors, drove home, and cried the entire way. I was shaken, scared, and furious at myself for ignoring the early signs. Later that night, I actually checked my car for a tracker. That's how paranoid I felt. I still can't believe how close this came to becoming something far worse. I'm just grateful I parked in a visible area, that I trusted my instincts when I did, and that I got out of there safely. Needless to say, I deleted Tinder the next morning, and I don't see myself re-downloading it anytime soon. There was this phase I went through, what I now refer to as my romantic nihilism arc. I was lonely, disillusioned, and deep in the trenches of dating apps. At the time, it felt harmless. Swipe, match, entertain a nonsense conversation, maybe meet up if the boredom outweighed the red flags. That's how I ended up on Bumble talking to a guy named Riven. Riven wasn't my usual type. His pictures were grainy, his bio was vague, and he had a slightly manic texting style. But I was in a slump, and his messages were at least consistent. He asked me to hang out literally within hours of matching. I declined. The next day he asked again. I was bored. I was lonely. I said yes. We hadn't talked about anything meaningful. He didn't know my favorite color or what I did for work. All he knew was my age and the neighborhood I lived in. I gave him my address after he insisted on picking me up. He lived about 40 minutes away, so I expected a heads up before he left. But 5 p.m. came and went. Then 5:30. Then 6 o'clock. No message. No, I'm on my way. Not even a, "Hey, sorry, running late." I texted him. "Are you still coming?" No response. By 6:45, I had accepted that I'd been stood up. I was embarrassed but not devastated. This was Bumble, after all, not a sacred covenant. I took off my makeup, threw on a hoodie, and started scrolling through TikTok. Then at 7:10 he texted, "Yo, my bad. My mom was tripping about me taking the car. I'm leaving now." I blinked. "Your mom?" He was 25. Still, I was in that do-it-for-the-plot mindset. So I replied, "Okay, what's your ETA?" "About 25 minutes, he said. "Cool. Whatever." I threw on mascara again and waited. When he finally arrived, I heard his car before I saw it. He pulled up blasting Juice WRLD at full volume. Not just loud, rattling the trunk loud. I opened the passenger door, and he turned the music down just enough to say yo, then cranked it back up. We started driving. No plan, no destination. I shouted over the music, "Where are we going?" He shrugged. "I dunno. You hungry?" "Yeah," I said, trying to be polite. "I could go for a McChicken." So that's where we went, McDonald's. I thought we'd hit the drive-thru, but he parked and said, "Let's go in." That's when it hit me. He probably didn't want to pay. And I was right. He waited behind me in line, let me order first, and didn't even pretend to offer. I paid for myself. He ordered a single McChicken and a small Sprite. We sat down at a booth, and he immediately pulled out his phone. The screen lit up with rapid notifications. He was texting someone furiously. His whole vibe was aggressive. He wasn't eating. He wasn't talking to me. He was typing with the kind of intensity usually reserved for fight night. I tried to ignore it. "Everything okay?" I asked. He sighed. "My mom's being a bitch. She didn't want me to take the car. She's always like this." I nodded slowly. "Want to pull over and text her so we're not driving distracted?" He glared. "We're almost there. Chill." We ate in silence. If I hadn't been so hungry, I'd have left then. When we were done, I stood up, thinking we'd leave. But he said, "Want to just chill here for a minute?" I hesitated. "Sure." We sat in the car. He turned the music back up and continued texting. I was now completely disinterested. This wasn't a date. It was babysitting a grown man with unresolved family issues and a fast food budget. Then suddenly, another car pulled into the lot like it was being chased. It swerved into the space next to us, tires screeching. A woman jumped out, marched to my side of the car, and started banging on the window. "You got another bitch in here? Are you ****ing kidding me right now?" I froze. Riven groaned. She yanked open the passenger door. "Who are you?" I raised my hands. "I literally don't know what's going on. I just met this man." She looked at me, eyes flickering with calculation. Then she turned to him. "You're texting me all this crap about being with some bad bitch, and this is who you're talking about?" I blinked. "Excuse me?" He shrugged. "I didn't say that." I turned to her. "You want to see the texts? I've literally been texting my friends about how awful this is. I didn't even want to come." She paused. "Show me." So I did. I showed her our dry, awkward Bumble convo. Then I showed her my text to my best friend. "This dude is insane. I think he's texting his ex. I'm at McDonald's. Save me." She burst out laughing. "You really thought this would make me jealous?" she said to him. "He looked like a kid caught stealing candy." "I never said that." She rolled her eyes. "You're pathetic." I stepped out of the car. "Honestly, I'm gonna go." Then she did something unexpected. "Want a ride home?" I blinked. "Wait, seriously?" "Yeah," she said. "You don't deserve this. Let's go." I got into her car. As we pulled away, she told me the whole story. She and Riven had dated for over a year. He cheated on her more than once. She left him. He begged for another chance. She gave him one. Then she found out he had tried to flirt with a 7th grader on Instagram. That was the last straw. She blocked him. But he kept reaching out from fake numbers. That night, he had texted her. "I'm with someone new. She's better than you. We're at McDonald's. She's obsessed with me." What he didn't know was that she had a tracking app still active from their relationship. That's how she found us. We laughed the whole ride home. It was the weirdest, most absurd turn of events. I never got her name, but she dropped me off safely and didn't ask for anything in return. Riven, of course, ghosted me. I deleted Bumble that night. Not because I gave up on dating, but because I realized I had been tolerating too much nonsense for the sake of the story. It wasn't worth it. Not the $8 McDonald's meal. Not the juice world. Not the fake jealousy scheme. I don't know if Riven ever learned a lesson. But I did. Don't go on last-minute meetups with men who live with their mothers and use you as a pawn in their broken relationships. I deserved better. And from now on, I'd demand it. Let me tell you about the time a man begged for years to take me on a date, and when I finally agreed, I ended up paying for everything. This one still makes my group chat cackle, but at the time, I was heated. So this guy had been in my DMs for at least 2 years. Every post, every story, he was there. Hard eyes, when we linking? Just give me one chance, all of it. I always brushed it off. Not because he was ugly, but because he wasn't my type. Like at all. I like my men dark and smooth like 95% cocoa. He was not that. He was yellow like me. And not just yellow, smiley, gummy, and overly eager. I'm sorry, but the man had 90% gums, 10% teeth. One smile, and I was already looking for the exit. But one day I thought, you know what? Let me give this man a chance. He's been consistent, respectful, and maybe I'm being too picky. Mistake number 1. I agreed to go out with him, and we planned a 2-part day. Coney Island first, then dinner after. Now, if you're from New York, you already know people have opinions about Coney Island. But I don't care. I love amusement parks, and after a certain hour, it's 21 plus, so it turns into a fun, grown vibe. Plus, I wanted to go on rides drunk, respectfully. He pulls up in a brand new BMW, white with red interior. He'd been flexing it on Facebook like it was his child. And I'm not gonna lie, the car was nice. I wasn't impressed, but I clocked it. I live in Manhattan, and he lives in Brooklyn, so he had to drive to get me, and then drive us all the way back to Coney Island. We're already talking almost 1.5 hours of driving. I figured, okay, maybe he's serious about this. Mistake number 2. We get to Coney Island and immediately run into problem number 1, parking. Now, anybody with common sense knows you don't go to Coney Island expecting to find free parking. You pay the $20, park, and enjoy your day. But no, this man starts circling the block like he's on a mission from God. I'm sitting there like, just pay for the lot, it's not that deep. He says, I'm not paying $20 to park for a couple hours. Sir, you're driving a 2020 BMW with red leather seats, and you're crying over a $20 parking fee? We drive around for 30 minutes. Then 45. At one point, we see a sign that says $10 for 4 hours. I'm like, let's just do that. He says, nah, I'm not paying $10 either. At this point, I'm ready to walk home. Finally, I'm like, forget it. Let's just go eat. I'm not even in the mood anymore. He says, okay, where you want to go? I pick a cute little restaurant nearby. Nothing fancy, just a nice spot with good vibes. We sit down, order drinks, order food. I keep it simple. 1 drink, 1 appetizer, 1 entree. He orders 2 drinks, 2 appetizers, no entree. I clock it, but I don't say anything. The bill comes. It's $100.86, including gratuity. Honestly, that's a steal in New York. Then this man has the audacity to pull out his phone. Not to pay. Not to Venmo. Nope. He pulls out his calculator app. I'm watching him do math in real time. He's calculating how much he owes based on his 2 appetizers and 2 drinks versus my entree and drink. Like we're in a group project and everyone's splitting up their contributions. I couldn't believe it. I was embarrassed. There were 2 guys at the next table watching us. The waiter was standing there awkwardly. I just pulled my debit card out of my phone case and handed it to the waiter. Put the whole thing on my card. His eyes lit up like I just proposed to him. You gonna do that for me? That's so sweet. Sir, shut up. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it to end this nightmare. I texted my group chat under the table. Y'all, I just paid for this whole date. This man really made me split the bill and then didn't even offer to cover the tip. We leave the restaurant and I'm walking ahead of him. He doesn't even open the car door for me. I get in and slam it behind me. Then, as if the night hasn't already been enough of a disaster, he looks over and says, "Can I ask you something?" My stomach dropped. "Sure." He says, "When you go on dates, do you usually chip in for gas money?" I blinked. "You're asking me for gas money? After I just paid for dinner?" He says, "Well, you live in Manhattan, and I had to drive all the way there and back." "Sir, you asked me on a date. You knew where I lived. You knew the plan. And now you want reimbursement like this was a business transaction?" I was done. We get to my block, and he starts circling like he's trying to spend more time with me. I'm silent. Then he says, "So, I was thinking I could park and come upstairs. We could chill." "Chill where?" "In the apartment I pay rent in. After I paid for your food, and you asked me for gas money?" "Absolutely not." I said, "I'm good. Thanks for the night." He looked confused, like he couldn't understand why I wasn't swooning. I got out of the car and never looked back. Blocked. Deleted. Forgotten. And to this day, I still remember the exact number on that bill. $100.86. $100.86 for a date with a man who didn't believe in parking lots, didn't believe in tipping, and thought gas money was a romantic gesture. Never again. I met her on Hinge. She was in law school, had tattoos, a quiet confidence, and this whole mysterious, edgy vibe. She wasn't the type I usually dated, but something about her felt magnetic. Our conversations were cool. She was articulate, smart, had good taste in music. I thought, okay, maybe this could be something. Then Mother's Day came around. I'm scrolling through Instagram, minding my business, when I see her post a huge photo dump. Lots of flowers, smiling pics, brunch, and then bam. Baby. Like a full baby. Multiple pictures. No caption explaining who it was. Just baby, baby, baby. Naturally, I swipe up. Happy Mother's Day, I guess? She replies, oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you because I like to keep my personal life private. You didn't tell me. You had a child? Look, I'm not anti-kid. I'm just anti-secrets. If you're a parent, that's a whole lifestyle. That's not something you forget to mention. But I tried to be understanding. I told myself, maybe she didn't want to scare me off. I let it slide. I was already invested, and at the time, she hadn't given me a real reason to bounce. But that was just the beginning. She started telling me her family didn't like her. Again, I tried to play devil's advocate, no pun intended. I told her, maybe they just don't understand you. But then came the kicker. My mom called me the devil once. Ma'am, that's not a misunderstanding. That's not they don't get me. That's a red siren on the top of a moving ambulance. Still, I know, I kept talking to her. We'd been vibing for a couple of months at this point. Then she made plans to come visit me. She lived in Northern California. I lived in LA. She drove down, stayed the weekend. And honestly, it was cool. She was chill in person. We had a good time. Nothing crazy happened. No fights. No weird behavior. I thought maybe I'd judged her too soon. But once she left, all hell broke loose. Suddenly, she was picking fights about things that didn't even make sense. Imaginary arguments. Accusations out of nowhere. I kept telling her, I don't argue. I don't do drama. We can talk about things, but I'm not going to scream and fight. She didn't care. Boundaries meant nothing to her. So I ended it. I told her calmly, I think this is getting toxic. I want you to be happy, but I don't think this is working. That's when it got scary. Within hours, she quit her job and drove from the Bay Area to LA. What should have been a 6 to 7 hour drive. She made it in 3. She was proud of that too. Told me she set a new record. Like this was the Daytona 500 and not her completely unhinged reaction to a breakup. And here's where I messed up. I let her in. I know. I shouldn't have. But I was caught off guard. She showed up emotional, begging to talk. I thought, let me hear her out. Let's end this with some closure, calmly. I told her, you need therapy. You've got stuff you're dealing with, and that's not on me to fix. She nodded. Swore she'd go. Promised she understood. We hugged it out. She got back in her car and drove home. I thought that was the end. Nope. A few days later, she started doing the same thing, blowing up my phone, accusing me of random stuff, picking fights in the middle of the night. I finally snapped. At 3 a.m., I sent a text like, I can't do this anymore. I need peace. Please don't contact me again. I put my phone down, went to sleep. When I woke up, I had 30+ missed calls, paragraphs, scamshots, DMs to women I barely knew. She was messaging them asking how they knew me, what our connection was. She even threatened to harm herself and me. That was when I knew it wasn't just crazy ex energy. This was dangerous. I had to contact her family, people I'd never spoken to before. I was scared. I didn't know if she was serious. I didn't know what she was capable of. I messaged her sister and explained everything. Her sister responded, you need to run. Another family member said, she's not well. Something is clinically wrong. We've been trying to help her for years. I blocked her on everything. Changed my number. Tried to vanish. But she didn't stop. A few days later, one of her relatives called me. Hey, you live in LA, right? Yeah. I think she's on her way to see you. Excuse me? She left hours ago. She had this look in her eyes. I don't know what she's planning. I started panicking. I called my friends. I didn't want to be home alone. Like, what was I supposed to do? Call the cops. Say, hey, my ex is driving 6 hours to possibly ruin my life. She showed up again. I saw her car parked outside, seat leaned back like she was undercover. I walked outside and said, I can see you. She got out. I patted her down for weapons. Yes, I actually checked her. That's how shook I was. We sat down. Talked. Again. I calmed her down. Told her to go home. She left. Then chaos exploded in Northern California. She went home and started accusing her family of plotting against her. Her sister texted me. She punched a hole in my bedroom door. A few days later, I got a call from a blocked number. It was her uncle, from prison. He said someone gave him my number. Asked what was going on. I explained everything. Every 5 minutes, the call would cut off with, "Please insert more coins to continue this call." I told him the whole story. He sighed and said, "I gotta talk to her." That was the last straw. I completely cut ties. Changed my number again. Told my building's security to never let her in. Deleted her from my life like she never existed. And I've never looked back. That whole situation taught me something important. Sometimes people are exactly what their family says they are. If someone tells you their own mother called them the devil, believe them. If their sister says run, don't ask why. Just run. I dodged a bullet. A whole arsenal, actually. And I have no intention of ever stepping into another Hinge situation again. We'd known each other in passing for years. Facebook friends since high school. He lived in West Palm, I lived in Jacksonville. We'd flirted once or twice over the years, but nothing ever came of it. Then, fast forward to my early 20s. I'm living in Miami. He sees my WhatsApp stories because Caribbean men love WhatsApp like it's Instagram, and decides to shoot his shot. "Let me take you out," he says. "We'll do Taco Tuesday. Margaritas on me." I say yes. I mean, who's turning down tacos and tequila? Certainly not me. That was Saturday. Sunday, nothing. Monday, nothing. Tuesday rolls around, and I still haven't heard from him. I assumed, naturally, that the plans were off. But at 6 p.m., this man hits me with a FaceTime asking, "Are you getting ready?" "Getting ready for what, sir?" "You said we were doing Taco Tuesday," he replied, like he didn't ghost me for 2 days. Against my better judgment, and because I still wanted tacos, I rushed to get ready and headed out. He'd sent me a flyer for the event, which I didn't look at too closely. I saw the address, saw the words Taco Tuesday, and assumed it was a restaurant with food, drinks, and maybe a chill vibe. I didn't zoom in. I didn't read the fine print. My bad. The moment I pulled up, I knew something was wrong. The building was pulsing with red and blue strobe lights. There were people outside smoking hookah, a DJ booth visible through the window, and the bass was so loud it shook my car door. This was not a date. This was a club. I texted him, "I'm outside." "Where are you?" He said, "Come in." "Excuse me? You invited me, and now I have to go find you?" Mind you, this place had 2 entrances. I peek in the first one. It's a full bar packed. The second entrance leads into a dance floor with people already 2 drinks in and out of their seats. I walk in, scanning the room, and don't see him anywhere. I'm now standing there, fully dressed for a sit-down dinner, not a rave. Then I hear a voice on the mic. It's him. He's the DJ. This man invited me to Taco Tuesday like it was a date, but really just wanted me to come see him work. I was stunned. I sat down at a table by myself, looking around like, am I being pranked? I texted my sister, my homegirl, everybody. Y'all, he's the DJ. He invited me to his DJ set and called it a date. I pulled up the flyer he sent me, and sure enough, under Music by was his DJ name. But here's the thing, I didn't know that was his DJ name. I only knew his government name from Facebook. So while he thought he was being clear, I was completely blindsided. I sat there sipping water and doing what any rational woman would do. I started a background check. I wasn't about to sit there and get to know him while he was up there mixing WAP into Bad Bunny. So I opened up my go-to site, and let me tell you, that background check was thorough. It told me everything. Traffic tickets, court appearances, property records, child support, and that's when I saw it. He had a kid. A young kid. One he never mentioned. Clicked through another page, saw lawsuits, old addresses, and some sketchy financial stuff. At this point, I'm sitting there like a private investigator with lip gloss on. He finishes his set and finally comes over. I'm trying to act normal, but I already know too much. I didn't mention the background check, obviously, but I was definitely giving short answers. Oh cool. Yeah, that's nice. Meanwhile in my head, you have a whole baby and didn't think to mention it? Still, I stayed until the end of the night. I figured I'd come all this way, might as well see it through. We grabbed food after, talked a bit, and it wasn't terrible. I decided, foolishly, to give him another chance. Mistake number 1. Again. A few days later, he invites me to his house. Chill night. Movies and wine. I say okay, and tell him I'll let him know when I'm on the way. I text him, I'm leaving now. 10 minutes later, I get a voice note. Not a text, a voice note. He says, "Hey, I just got a call from this promoter. They need me to come DJ real quick. So when you get here, I'm just gonna hop in the car with you and head to the club." Wait. What? So you knew you were booked to DJ and waited until I was literally en route to tell me? And I'm supposed to drive you to the gig now? Absolutely not. I texted back, "I'm not going to a party dressed like this. And I'm not sitting in your house while you're out working." He replies, "Come inside, take my key, and just wait for me there." Sir, you want me to sit in your apartment alone like some side character with no lines? What if your actual girlfriend shows up? No. I told him, I'm going home. I just drove over an hour for nothing. He tried to flip it like I was being dramatic. So can I come to you instead? No, Cameron. You cannot. I blocked him that night. Again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, and I'm the Wi-Fi password at your DJ booth. And that's how I ended up doing 2 background checks, attending 1 surprise DJ gig, and wasting multiple gallons of gas on a man who didn't know the difference between a date and a promo event. Dating in your 20s is wild. But dating a DJ? That's a whole different genre of chaos. I met Elian on Hinge. He had this kind of chaotic charm that made you feel like nothing would ever be boring around him. His bio read like a manifesto for spontaneous living, and the photos were a mix of rooftop parties, Polaroid selfies, and shirtless gym mirror shots. Normally, that last one would make me swipe left, but I was in a mood. A why not kind of mood. He messaged me first. Birthday pregame at my Airbnb this Saturday. Bring your friend. Vibes only. It was forward, but something about the confidence made me pause. I sent a screenshot to my best friend, Zafira. She replied in all caps, "Let's go. You never say yes to anything." So I said yes. Saturday evening, we pulled up to the Airbnb, a narrow 3-story townhouse in a semi-gentrified neighborhood on the edge of Atlanta. It was the kind of place rented by people who wanted to feel expensive without paying for it. Elian had told us to arrive at 8 p.m. to pregame with the crew, before going to a club called Havana. As we walked up the stairs, Zafira adjusted her curls in the reflection of the glass door. "Let's just have fun," she said. I smiled, but something in my gut nodded quietly. I brushed it off. The moment we stepped inside, the room felt off. There were 3 other girls in the living room, doing their makeup, but they barely looked up. I approached with a smile, said, "Hi, I'm Narelle. Nice to meet you guys." One of them made a half nod without eye contact. The others just blinked. I whispered to Zafira, "Okay, I see reception." Elian appeared at the top of the stairs. "Hey, you made it." He came down, pulled me into a quick hug, then did the same to Zafira. "I'm really sorry about the vibe in here. It's been weird all night. Come up to the roof. It's better up there." We followed him to the rooftop, which had string lights, 2 folding chairs, and a Bluetooth speaker playing a lo-fi mix. The view was decent, mostly rooftops and distant skyline, but the cold hit fast. We wrapped our jackets tighter. Elian started venting. "It's my birthday, and these girls are acting like I ruined their lives. I got the Airbnb, planned everything, and they still don't want to go where I want. Like it's my night." He looked genuinely frustrated. Zafira and I exchanged a look. She gave him a reassuring smile. "Hey, forget them. Hang with us. We're down to celebrate." That seemed to lift his spirits. He poured us drinks from a bottle of Casamigos, and we toasted to new friends and better energy. For a moment, it almost felt like it could be a good night. But as the night unfolded, I started noticing subtle shifts. Elian kept turning to Zafira more than me. Asking her questions, complimenting her earrings, laughing at everything she said. I wasn't jealous, more detached. I had come with 0 expectations, but I couldn't ignore the feeling of being slowly edged out of my own plans. His friend, a quiet guy named Jarek, arrived around 9:30 and called the Uber to Havana. We all piled in. That's when I realized something was wrong. I didn't have my purse. I dug through my coat pockets, checked the floor. Nothing. I turned to Jarek. "Hey, you called the Uber, right? I think I left my purse in there. Can you message the driver?" He shrugged. "Probably left it upstairs or on the roof. I'll check later. Don't stress it." I didn't want to ruin the night, or Elian's birthday, so I let it go. Told myself it was probably just inside. I'd check after we got back. Havana was packed. Loud, dark, neon lights flickering over the dance floor. We danced, we drank. Elian stayed glued to Zafira. I stayed in my own little orbit, sipping watered-down vodka cranberries and texting myself reminders to check the rooftop later. Around 1:30 a.m., we headed back to the Airbnb. That's when the night truly turned. As we walked in, Elian turned around with a finger to his lips. "Shh, be quiet. The girls are sleeping. No noise." I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He herded us up to the rooftop again, despite the cold. "We can't be loud. Seriously. Just stay up here for a bit." Zafira and I looked at each other. "It's freezing," she whispered. After 15 minutes of shivering, Elian finally said, "Okay, come downstairs. But not to the kitchen. Just come to my room." He led us down one flight of stairs, opened his bedroom door, and motioned for us to walk in. Then he closed the door behind us and locked it. The air went still. I didn't panic, but I felt something shift in my chest. I turned to him. "Hey, I still need to find my purse. Can I check the rooftop or the kitchen?" He didn't even hesitate. No, I repeated, confused. He shook his head. "Nah, it's late. Just look tomorrow. My purse has my house keys, my car keys, everything. I can't get home without it. You probably just left it upstairs. Chill. It'll turn up." I turned to Jarek. "Did you hear from the Uber driver?" He shrugged. "Haven't heard anything." I felt the panic start to rise. I wasn't trying to be dramatic, but I needed that bag. "Please, just let me go check." Elian's expression hardened. "You're making this a thing. It's not that serious." Zafira was silent on the bed. She didn't say anything, didn't back me up. I felt like I was going crazy, like maybe I was overreacting. But my gut said no. "You are not safe here. Can I use the bathroom?" I asked, my voice tight. There was one attached to the room. I went in, locked the door, and called Corey, my son's father. He picked up on the second ring. "Corey," I whispered, crying. "I'm locked in this room. I lost my purse. I can't get home. They won't let me leave." "Where are you?" he asked, instantly alert. "Near downtown. I'll send the address. Please come." Suddenly, the bathroom door burst open. Zafira had come in, glaring. "We can hear you talking about us," she snapped. I stared at her. "You're not helping me. I had to call someone." She shook her head and walked out, muttering. I stayed in the bathroom until she left, then came out. Elian was sitting on the bed, arms crossed. "You're making everyone uncomfortable. I just want to find my bag. You're being dramatic." Eventually, Zafira called me. "I got an Uber. Let's go." I looked at her name on my phone. My hands shook. "No." I called Corey. "I'm not going with you." She hung up. I was trapped in the room with Elian. I stood my ground. "Give me the Uber driver's info. I'll call myself." He exploded. "Why are you blaming me? I didn't take your bag." "I'm not blaming. I'm asking for help. You're acting crazy." Finally, he opened the door. "You need to go." I walked down the stairs. Another guy appeared, one I hadn't seen all night. He pointed to the door. "You need to leave." I stood on the sidewalk, crying into the phone as Corey stayed with me the whole time. I called the non-emergency police line. Officers came, knocked on the door, and said, "If they don't answer, there's nothing we can do." They left. Corey arrived an hour later. He hugged me tight, told me it would be okay. Drove me to my sister's house where I crashed on her couch, keys still missing, heart bruised. The next day, I hired a locksmith. Corey helped me get into my apartment and rekeyed my locks. By evening, I got a text from Elian. "Good news. Uber driver has your purse." I paid him $80 to get it back. "You can come pick it up." No apology. Just a transactional message. I replied that I'd come in the morning. When I arrived, he handed me the purse like it was charity. See? I did my good deed. Who wants to hear the story about the guy I was seeing who turned out to be also seeing his sister? Yeah, you heard that right. Buckle up. So this happened a couple of years ago. I had just gotten divorced, like right around that time, right after the papers were signed, maybe a few weeks later. Emotionally, I was a mess. I was in this really weird space where I was trying to figure out who I was again. It's like after being part of a unit for so long, you forget how to exist as a solo act. So, in a moment of crushed vulnerability and trying to reclaim my life, I downloaded Hinge. Now, I know what you're thinking. Girl, not Hinge. You just got out of a marriage. But listen, I wasn't trying to find a husband. I was just trying to feel wanted again. And that's where Tony, let's call him Tony, comes in. That's not his real name, obviously, but close enough to remind me of the trauma. Tony was gorgeous. And I'm not just throwing that word around. I mean Leo from Tell Me Lies level gorgeous. Like, he had this messy hair, a jawline that could slice bread, and these eyes that made you feel like he'd known you in a past life. His profile photos looked like they were taken by a professional photographer, but not in a try-hard way. More like, I just happened to look this good in natural light. So we matched and we started talking. A lot. Every day. Voice notes, texting, a few FaceTime calls. And the more I got to know him, the more I was like, wow, this guy is actually kind and smart and listens when I talk. He had just gotten out of the military. I won't say which branch, but let's just say he had that quiet confidence that comes from discipline and experience. He was back in school, getting his master's degree in a field I won't name because, again, I value my safety, but let's just say it was impressive. He lived about 2 hours away from me, near ECU. And after a few weeks of talking, he offered to drive down to take me out on our first date. I was flattered. 2 hours? For me? Okay, sir. Say less. Now this part here? I regret. I fully own up to how stupid it was. Because I told him, hey, since you're coming all this way, why don't you just stay the night? Don't do that. I would never do that now, never. But again, I was fresh out of a marriage, vulnerable, and craving connection. So the day of the date comes. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm doing my makeup, curling my hair, and I hear a knock on the door. I open it, and there he is. Tony. In the flesh. And baby, let me tell you, he was even hotter in person. He had this bouquet of flowers in his hand, actual flowers, not gas station ones. And he gives me this huge hug. The kind where you feel like you're melting into someone's chest. And he says, I'm so excited to finally see you. And I melted. I was like, me too. I finish getting ready while he chills on my couch. Then we head out to this super nice restaurant, again his pick. He drove us in his car, which was also really nice. Like, I definitely have my life together, nice. Over dinner, we talk about everything. He's asking about my interests, and I start telling him about neuroplasticity, which I know isn't everyone's idea of fun, but it's mine. And instead of glazing over, Tony leans in like, that's fascinating. Tell me more. This man was applying for the job of boyfriend, like he already had the references. He tells me about his life. He grew up on a farm in a rural part of a southern state. Homeschooled. But like, not the group co-op kind. The isolated kind. Just him and his siblings. He talks a lot about his younger sister, only a year or two apart. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it. I've got siblings. I get it. You're close. Anyway, the date ends, and he crashes at my place. Nothing too wild happens. Just cuddling, talking, sleeping. The next morning, he's already planning our next date. He's like, why don't you come visit me next time? I'll take you to this hot dog place you'll love. He remembered from one of our chats that I love hot dogs. I mean, who doesn't? So I agree. A week later, I drive the 2 hours to visit him. But something feels off. I can't explain it. My gut was screaming, don't go. And I ignored it. I told myself I was overthinking, that I was just scared because I hadn't dated in a long time. But the feeling was there. Loud. So we go mini golfing. It's actually a super fun date. We're laughing, joking, being goofy. Then we head to dinner. And that's when the weird starts to creep in. He's looking at me, and he says, you know, you look just like my cousin. I laugh awkwardly like, haha, what? And he goes, no, seriously. She's hot too. Then he pulls out his phone to show me a picture. And y'all, I looked identical to her. I'm talking same hair, face shape, even the same smile. I was like, oh okay. And the rest of the night, he keeps saying how hot I am. But now it's tainted. Because all I can think is, this man wants to sleep with his cousin. I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum, but, actually no. I am yucking this. Yuck. We go back to the hotel because he had a roommate. And that's when things go from weird to, oh, I might not make it home real quick. He pulls out props. I'm not going to get into detail, but let's just say things that should be used with extreme caution. And he lays them out like this is some 50 Shades audition. I tell him, no, that's not happening. And he's cool about it. He puts them away. Then we start talking. Like deep talking. Pillow talk level. And he tells me completely unprompted that when he was in 3rd grade, he and his sister started experimenting. I say, wait, what? Thinking maybe I misheard him. He continues. Yeah, we were curious. And it kind of continued. For years. Y'all. I was frozen. Like actual shock. I tried to stay calm because I was stuck. I had been drinking. I couldn't drive home. I didn't know anyone in this town. I couldn't risk him snapping. So I go into therapist mode. I say, "Wow, that must have been really confusing for you. Do you feel like it's affected your adult relationships?" He opens up, tells me everything. From when it started, how long it lasted, how emotional it was. I'm fawning so hard, trying to survive this night. Eventually, we fall asleep. The next morning, I leave. I drive the 2 hours home, my heart racing the whole time. He calls me, says he had a great time. I tell him, yeah, me too. I'm trying to ghost him gently. I say something vague like, I just feel like we're not spiritually aligned. You don't seem like you have a strong connection with God, and that's really important to me. And he says, yeah, I guess I need someone who's into the same things I'm into. Sir, no one is into those things. No one normal, anyway. I block his number. I delete Hinge. I light Sage. Like I said, this happened 2 years ago. I haven't told many people because honestly, it makes me look bad. Like, how did I not see the signs? So, I've been hanging out with this guy for a little while. We'd gotten dinner, coffee, just casual stuff. He was quiet, like really quiet, but as someone who never shuts up, that was kind of refreshing. You know how sometimes it's nice to have someone who just listens? I thought that's what this was. One night, we were out getting drinks. It starts pouring rain, like cinematic, thunder crashing down rain, and I'm trying to call an Uber. But every time I book one, it cancels. Apparently, the rain scared off every driver in the city. So he says, I live just down the street. You can come hang out at my place for a bit until your Uber shows up. At first, I hesitate, but then I think, okay, you've been out with this guy a few times. He's been normal. Chill. You'll stay for 20 minutes, dry off, call another Uber. No big deal. Famous last words. So we walk to his apartment building, and we're laughing, making small talk. My boots are soaking wet, and I'm trying to act like I'm not freezing to death. But as soon as we walk into his apartment, I get this feeling in my stomach. You know that gut drop, like when you miss a step on the stairs? That's what I felt. My intuition was practically screaming, get out. But I told myself I was overreacting. We step inside, and I immediately notice the decor. And by decor, I mean nightmare fuel. First thing I see above his TV is this ancient-looking shotgun. Not just a regular hunting rifle, or whatever. No, this thing looks like it was used in the Revolutionary War. It's framed in a glass case, like it's the pride of his collection. And I'm standing there thinking, this is the kind of weapon John Wilkes Booth might have used in an alternate timeline. It's a full-blown musket, and surrounding this musket, paintings, but not like Monet or anything serene. These are paintings of war, like historical reenactment energy. You've got soldiers in trenches, men yelling in agony, bayonets flying. Violent, chaotic, unsettling. Now, I love a good history moment. I grew up on John Green's Crash Course. I can appreciate a historical deep dive. But this wasn't that. This was, I may have fantasized about being in the Battle of Gettysburg energy. And when I look at him, he just smiles and says, yeah, I guess you could say I'm a war guy. A war guy? Sir, that's not a personality. That's a red flag in camo. So I'm trying to play it cool, even though my heart is doing backflips. I glance around the rest of the apartment. No photos of friends or family. No plants. No warmth. Just more war memorabilia and an American flag that looks a little too proud. Then I spot his coffee table. There are a few books on it, and I think, okay, maybe he's a reader. That's something. I lean in to see what he's reading, and my stomach sinks even lower. Every single book is about serial killers. No exaggeration. There's one on Ted Bundy, another one about cannibalism in criminal psychology, and another titled something like The Art of Murder, Understanding the Serial Mind. I didn't even want to touch them. I stared at those books like they were toxic. At this point, I'm debating my life choices. I'm calculating how long it'll take me to run from his apartment to the nearest gas station. I'm thinking, okay, if I act calm and don't spook him, maybe I can get out of this alive. Then his phone rings. He looks at it, grimaces, and says, ugh, my psycho ex-girlfriend. I was hoping she wouldn't make this mistake again. She knows what's going to happen. I freeze. Like, what does that mean? She knows what's going to happen? Is that a threat? Is that a confession? He sees my face, and I must have looked like I'd seen a ghost because he quickly goes, I'm just kidding. Kidding? Kidding? I laugh nervously. Haha, yeah, good one. You got me. Meanwhile, my internal organs are staging a protest. I text my sister. I use our emergency code. 911, call me now. She calls immediately, and I pick up with my best Oscar-winning performance. Oh my God. What? Are you serious? Okay. I'm so sorry, I have to go. My sister's dog got out, and she's having a panic attack. I need to help her. He looks at me, totally deadpan, and says, "Are you sure you have to leave now?" And then, without blinking, adds, "Well, I can't let you leave this soon now, can I?" I swear on everything, my soul left my body. I'm pale. I'm sweating. I'm trying not to puke. And then he goes, "I'm just kidding again. Sir, this is not stand-up comedy. This is a horror show." I say, "Oh wow, you're really funny. You should try open mic night sometime." Meanwhile, I'm frantically pulling on my coat and grabbing my phone. I tell him, "My sister's already here. I gotta go." He walks me to the door and, as I'm leaving, says, "Hope the elevator's working so you can make it out." With a straight face. Is that a threat? A warning? Is there someone waiting in the elevator? I bolt. I don't even wait for the elevator. I dash down the stairs like I'm in a Final Destination movie. My lungs are on fire, but adrenaline is carrying me. I'm flying. Then I stop, because every horror movie ever has taught me that running down the stairs is where the killer catches you. So I jump off on a random floor. I'm trying to catch my breath, trying to decide if I should call the police or just hide. And that's when I meet the second creepy man of the night. An older man walks out of his apartment. He looks like someone's grandpa. He's like, "Hi there, do you live here?" I lie. "Just visiting a friend." He starts chatting me up. And at first, I think maybe he's just being friendly. But then he starts inching closer. And he says, "You can wait in my apartment if you want. It's warmer." No. He reaches for my hand. I yank it away and say, "Actually, my sister just got here." And I run. Again. Back to the stairs. At this point, I'm done playing polite. I'm out. Down the stairs, out the lobby, and into my sister's car. I slam the door shut and yell, "Drive. Go." She floors it. We don't speak for 5 minutes. Just breathing. Just processing. Later that night, I delete Hinge. I delete every dating app. I light a candle. I say a prayer. Because that was too close. Take this as a warning. If you walk into someone's apartment and see a musket hanging on the wall, leave. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Just go. At the time, I had just moved to the city, about 5 months in. I was new, excited, trying to meet people, and signed up for basically every dating app you can think of: Bumble, Hinge, Tinder, the whole lineup. Eventually, I matched with this guy whose pictures are fine. Not great, not bad. He had that smirky finance bro look, but sometimes those guys surprise you. His bio was vague, like work hard, play hard, looking for my partner in crime. You know, the usual. But whatever, I was bored and his messages were coherent, so we set a time to meet. We agree on a bar near me, somewhere I picked because it had good drinks and outdoor seating. I show up on time. He's already there, standing in the doorway. And immediately I think, oh, okay, no attraction. He's not ugly, but he's just not my type. And that's fine. I'm not shallow. I can still enjoy a drink and a conversation. We hug, sit down, and order beers. The place is a little crowded, so we end up at a picnic table outside. And this is where it starts to unravel. The first thing out of his mouth, not "How was your day?" or "Tell me about yourself." No, he launches into a full monologue about the drama at his job. He works in finance, of course, and he keeps saying "the woman that works below me" and "the people below me," like on repeat. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I get it, you're an associate and you want to feel powerful. But the way he kept emphasizing his rank, it was giving insecure authority complex. He's telling this long, convoluted story about some office politics and how he had to put someone in their place. And I'm nodding politely, sipping my beer, just trying to get through it. It's been maybe 10 minutes, and I haven't said a word. Then, in the middle of his power trip story, he pauses and goes, "So when did you move here?" I tell him, I moved here in May. So about 5 months ago. He goes, "No lie." Okay, in this weird judgy tone. I look at him. "What does that mean?" He says, "I just have a rule about not dating people who recently moved here." Excuse me? I blink. "What?" He goes on. Yeah, I just don't usually date people who just moved to the city because, like, they haven't found their community yet, and they're usually dating a bunch of people, and it's just a whole thing." Okay. Mind you, we've been sitting for 10 minutes. This is the first thing I've really said, and it's met with a passive-aggressive disqualification. I hadn't even finished my beer. I kind of shut down after that. I sit back. I check out, but I don't leave. I'm trying to be polite. I don't want to cause a scene. Plus, I'm still trying to figure out if he's just socially clueless or genuinely rude. Then he leans in and says, "Do you want me to explain what I do in investment banking?" I say, "No, I know what investment banking is." Strike. 2. But he explains anyway. Of course. He goes into this whole speech about assets and mergers and leverage, and I'm just pretending to listen. I'm watching this man's mouth move and wondering how many other women have sat through this exact presentation. Then we get into this weird tangent about languages. He tells me he used to live in Hong Kong. I ask, "Oh, that's cool. Did you learn Cantonese?" He says, "No, I learned Mandarin." I nod. "Oh, interesting. But don't they speak Cantonese in Hong Kong?" And this man lights up like he just cracked open a Wikipedia page. "I'm so glad you asked," he says. "See, in China, there are different dialects. In the south, they speak Cantonese. In the north, they speak Mandarin. Hong Kong is an island. Did you know that? It's an island." I'm like, "Yes. I know." He continues, "So Mao, do you know who Mao is?" Internally, I scream, "Yes, I know who Mao is." He says, "Mao wanted everyone to speak Mandarin. That's why." I cut him off. "So Mandarin is the national language, and there are local dialects." He looks stunned, like I solved the riddle before he had a chance to finish the story. "Yes, exactly." "Cool. Moving on." At this point, I've mentally packed my bags and left the date. I'm in survival mode. He keeps talking. I nod. I sip. I check my phone. I'm calculating how long I have to stay before I can leave without being rude. Then he brings it back around. "I noticed earlier," he says, "when I mentioned my rule about dating new people in the city, you kind of shut down." I say, "Yeah, because it was rude. You basically told me you don't date people like me within 5 minutes of meeting me." He backpedals instantly. No, that's not what I meant. I just meant that when I moved to Hong Kong, I wasn't in a place for dating, and I guess I project that onto other people." I say, "Exactly. You're projecting. You're assuming that my experience will be the same as yours." He nods like he's having a revelation, but I can tell he's not actually listening. Then he starts telling me party stories. Wild ones. And every time he gets to the good part, he says, "Oh, I can't tell you that." "Why bring it up, then?" Finally, he says, "I'm going to Miami next weekend." I say, "Cool." He says, "Can't tell you what I'll be doing there, though." "Okay. Are you a spy? A criminal? A man-child looking for validation?" Whatever it is, I no longer care. The date ends soon after. As we're wrapping up, he tries to salvage it. He says, "You're very direct." I like that. I think we could have a lot of fun. I say, "I'm also honest." And this wasn't fun. He looks stunned, like no one's ever told him that before. And then I leave. Just like that. So ladies, if a man starts a first date by talking about the people who work below him, tries to explain Mao Zedong to you, and tells you he doesn't date people like you, leave. Don't wait for the check. Don't wait for the story about Miami. Just go. Because this wasn't a date. It was a one-man performance. And I did not buy a ticket. This is the story of how I narrowly avoided what I still believe could have been an actual abduction. Or worse. All because I agreed to go on a date outside the city with a guy from Tinder. It's a cautionary tale. And if you've ever thought about driving to a hidden gem restaurant for a first date, let me be the one to say, don't. Just don't. At the time, I was living in New York City. I'd been single for a while, and like most people in their 20s and 30s, I'd turned to dating apps out of sheer convenience and the very faint hope that maybe, just maybe, there was someone decent on there. I matched with this one guy, let's call him Adam. Adam seemed sweet. He was persistent, but not in a creepy way. Very charming, very eager. He messaged me consistently, always seemed interested in getting to know me, and kept suggesting we meet up. In my head, I was like, God, this guy is so into me. Maybe I'm being too cautious. Maybe he's just making an effort. And for once, I thought, why not let someone take the lead? So eventually, I agreed to go on a date with him. Now, here's where things start getting dicey. Adam tells me he wants to take me to this amazing little restaurant in Yonkers. It's a hidden gem, he says. Authentic food, never too crowded, super cozy. I'd never been to Yonkers for a date before, but I'd also never really had someone offer to take me out of the city for dinner either. It sounded kind of romantic, and he offered to drive me. Red flag number one. But I brushed it off and told him I had my own car. Yes, I had a car in New York City, miraculously. That detail probably saved my life. I said I'd just meet him there. So the day of the date comes. I remember it was a Thursday evening. I'm getting ready, doing my makeup, curling my hair, and I think, let me just double-check this restaurant he mentioned. I open my phone and type the name into Google Maps. And what do I see? Permanently closed. I blink. Refresh the page. Still closed. I check Yelp. Closed. TripAdvisor. Closed. I'm like, okay, maybe it only recently closed and he doesn't know yet. So I text him, hey, just saw online that the restaurant is closed. Is that the right place? He replies almost instantly, oh yeah, they're really bad about updating their hours. Don't worry, they're open. Red flag number two. Something in my gut whispers, cancel. But my brain says, maybe he's right. Some small places aren't great with their online presence. It could be fine. So I shrug, grab my purse, and get in my car. 40 minutes in traffic later, I pull into the parking lot of the restaurant. And my stomach drops. The building is dark. Not a single light on. The sign has been taken down. There's no one inside. There are no other cars in the lot, except mine. And I'm not talking slow night. I mean it's a ghost town. Like the kind of place that's been closed for months. I put the car in reverse, ready to get out of there. And that's when I see it. Another car pulls in. Slowly. Quietly. It doesn't park right away. It just sort of idles next to me. I don't even look directly at it. I just feel it. You know that feeling when you know someone's watching you? My heart starts pounding. I don't know if it's him. I don't know who it is. I don't wait to find out. I back out of the lot as fast as I can without peeling out. I turn onto the main road, and I keep looking in my rearview mirror. For the next 10 minutes, I'm driving like I'm being followed. Every time a car changes lanes behind me, I'm convinced it's him. Eventually, I make it home. I'm shaking. I haven't even taken my coat off when I check the app. And his profile? Gone. He unmatched me. No explanation. No follow-up. No apology for the weird location, or the closed restaurant, or the creepy parking lot. Just vanished. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a miscommunication. This was something else. Something dark. I've since read several posts and heard from other women who've had almost the exact same experience. A hidden gem restaurant that turns out to be closed. A guy who insists it's open. A parking lot with no one in it. And then they get unmatched right after. It's a pattern. I don't know what his plan was. I don't want to know. But I know this, I was lucky. Lucky I had my own car. Lucky I trusted my instincts. Lucky I didn't get out. We'd gone out once before, and it was great. He was smart, funny, kind, and just genuinely easy to talk to. After our first date, we both got super busy, work, family stuff, life, and we didn't get around to seeing each other again until this particular night. He picked out the restaurant. A cool little spot I'd never been to before, the kind of place with candlelit tables, mismatched silverware, and a vibe that says, we have a Spotify playlist for our wine list. I was into it. The energy was good. I was looking forward to it. We sit down, and right away he suggests we order a few things to share. I'm like, great, I love that. I like trying different things, and splitting food is kind of my ideal way to eat. So we browse the menu together, picking out a couple of small plates and a salad. Now here's the thing you need to know about me. I have a severe, anaphylactic allergy to nuts. Tree nuts, peanuts, you name it. I carry an EpiPen everywhere. I've had to use it before. It's not just a mild reaction. It's life-threatening, so I take it seriously. I always tell the server. I triple-check ingredients. I do all the things. So when the server comes over, I say very clearly, just a heads up, I have a severe allergy to nuts. Can we make sure there's nothing nut-based in any of these dishes? The server is like, absolutely. No problem at all. We specifically mention the salad, which has a pesto dressing. I say, can we either put the pesto on the side or just remove it entirely? He assures us that's fine. He jots it down. Everything seems chill. The food comes out, and it all looks amazing. There are a few plates, including the salad. My date takes half of the salad and puts it on his plate, and I go to take mine. But then I notice something. There's this green smear on the bottom of the salad plate. Like, not lettuce green. Not cucumber green. This is sauce green. And there's not a lot of it, just a little bit. But it's there. And it looks exactly like pesto. So I pause. I look at my date and ask, "Hey, does this look like pesto to you?" He leans in and says, "Yeah, kind of. But it's hard to tell. It's just a little bit." I'm staring at this green smear like it's a live grenade. Because even a small amount, like a trace amount, could be enough to trigger a reaction. So I flag down the server. He comes over, and I ask, "Hey, does this salad have pesto on it?" He looks at it, sort of squints, and says, "I don't think so. It doesn't look like there's any pesto on top." I say, "But there's something green under the lettuce." He says, "Oh, I think that's just from the base. Our pesto doesn't have nuts in it." Immediately I'm like, "Wait, what? That's not what it said on the menu." He says, "No, I'm pretty sure it's nut-free." I say, "Can you check with the kitchen? Because on the menu, it says it's a nut-based pesto." He nods and disappears. 10 minutes pass. No update. No server. No salad. Just me and my date, sitting there staring at a plate of potential poison. And now my anxiety is through the roof. If you have a life-threatening allergy, you know this feeling. It's like your body goes into pre-shock mode. I'm sweating. My heart is racing. I'm running through worst-case scenarios in my head. Like, what if I had taken a bite without looking? What if I'm already reacting and don't know it yet? What if they don't have a protocol? Where's the closest hospital? Eventually, a different server comes over, picks up the plate without saying a word, and walks off. No explanation. No apology. Just snatches it away like it's a dirty dish. Then the original server finally comes back. He looks sheepish, and he says, "Yeah, it did have pesto, and the pesto does have nuts in it." I freeze. He says, "Sorry about that. We'll get you a new one without the pesto." No big deal tone. Like he just forgot to bring out the extra napkins. Meanwhile, I'm trying to calm myself down because I was literally seconds away from eating it. I'm not being dramatic. This wasn't a "I don't like mushrooms" situation. This was a "my throat could have closed up" situation. I look at my date, and he's just watching me. And bless his heart, he was amazing. He didn't make me feel like I was being over the top. He didn't act annoyed or impatient. He didn't say, "It's not that big a deal." He just kept checking in, offering support, and giving me space to breathe. And that's when it hit me. This could have been a disaster, but it also revealed how someone handles high-stress situations. And he handled it like a total champ. We stayed. We ate the rest of the food. I didn't end up in the ER, but the whole experience left me shaken. And it stuck with me for days afterward. Because it reminded me that, even when you do everything right, disclose your allergy, triple check, ask the waiter, it's still possible for things to go wrong. And you can't ever fully relax. So if you're someone with allergies, or you're dating someone with allergies, please don't underestimate how scary it can be. That moment when you realize you almost ate something dangerous, it's not minor. It's not just a whoops. It's terrifying. I matched a girl called Maya. She was in law school, had tattoos, and had this cool contrast vibe going on. Like, she could argue your case in court, and then take you to a punk show after. Naturally, I was intrigued. We started talking, and it was good. Easy. She was sharp, witty, and we messaged back and forth for a few weeks. Eventually we exchanged numbers and started texting every day. Things started to feel serious before we even met in person. Then Mother's Day rolls around. I'm on Instagram, just scrolling through the usual brunch posts and floral tributes, when I see a story from Maya. I click through and there's a baby. Then another photo. Then another. Her with the baby. Her feeding the baby. Her kissing the baby on the forehead. Nowhere in our conversations had she mentioned having a child. Not once. So I swipe up on her story and say, "Happy Mother's Day, I guess?" She replies with, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't want to tell you yet. I like to keep things private." Okay, fine. I can work with that. I'm not the kind of person who ghosts someone just because they have a kid. Life is complicated. People have pasts. I was trying to be open-minded. Then the next red flag comes. She starts telling me that her family doesn't like her. That she's the black sheep. I try to be understanding. We all have complicated family dynamics. But then she adds, "My mom once called me the devil." Okay, she's got her demons. Don't we all? But something about the way she said it, so flatly like it was just another Tuesday, made my skin crawl a little. Still, I ignored it, because the connection felt real. We kept talking, texts, phone calls, FaceTime. At this point, we've been talking for over 2 months. Eventually, she drives down to visit me for the weekend. She lives in the Bay Area, and I'm in LA. That's a solid 6 to 7 hour drive. But she makes it in 3.5. 3.5. She was bragging about it too. Like, I made record time. I should have been alarmed. I should have asked myself, why is she driving like she's fleeing a crime scene? But of course I didn't. I was just flattered. The weekend actually went well. She was cool, funny, and things felt normal. But after she went back home, that's when everything started unraveling. Suddenly she's starting fights about things that didn't even make sense. Like picking arguments out of thin air. I'm not a confrontational person. I don't do screaming matches. I told her from the start, I don't argue. If we have an issue, we talk it out like adults. But she didn't care. She kept pushing, crossing boundaries, dragging me into emotional chaos every other day. So I told her, this is too much. Let's just end things. I thought I said it respectfully. I told her I wanted her to find whatever would make her happy. I didn't ghost. I didn't block. I just ended it. And that's when shit got real. She quit her job and drove down to LA again. No warning. No invitation. Just showed up at my door. And she wasn't apologetic about it either. She was proud. She told me. I just knew we weren't done. Again, I should have said no. I should have told her to leave. But I let her in. I was trying to be kind. I said, if we're going to try again, you need therapy. You've got unresolved stuff, and it's affecting everything. She agreed. Said she'd go. Said she knew she had problems. A few days later, she's back to the same behavior, starting fights, accusing me of things, spinning out. So I ended again. This time for good. It was around 3 a.m. I sent her a long message explaining that I couldn't do this anymore. That it was too much. That I needed peace. I put my phone down and tried to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to a storm of messages. Paragraph after paragraph. Then I see that she's been DMing women I recently followed on social media. Asking them how they know me. Accusing them of being involved with me. Then the threats start. Heavy ones. The kind that make you wonder if you need to call someone. So I do. I reach out to one of her family members, someone she had mentioned before. I tell them what's happening. I ask, is she serious? Should I be worried? Their response? You need to run. Literal quote. Another family member tells me, she's not well. Something is clinically wrong. You need to get away. And I'm thinking, why are you telling me this now? Why didn't someone warn me? Then I get a call from an unknown number. It's her uncle. From prison. He says, hey, I need to know what's going on with my niece. I'm like, sir, I don't even know how you got my number. He insists I tell him everything. So I do. Every 5 minutes, the call gets cut off and I hear, please add more coins to continue this call. It's surreal. I'm sitting in my kitchen, talking to a man in prison about his niece who's threatening to come to my house. Then I get a text from another family member. We think she's on her way to you. She left a while ago. She had that look in her eyes. Excuse me? I look out my window. Nothing. But a few hours later, she pulls up. She's just sitting in her car. Parked outside. Seat reclined. Watching. I let her into the lobby. I pat her down. I'm not even joking. I was afraid she might be carrying something. We sit. We talk. I try to calm her down. Eventually she leaves. But it doesn't end there. She gets back to the bay and starts terrorizing her family. Punches a hole through her sister's door. Starts accusing everyone of betraying her. It's chaos. I go full no contact. Block everything. Change passwords. I never hear from her again, but for weeks afterward, I was on edge. Looking over my shoulder. Sleeping with one eye open. I like to think the moral of this story is that sometimes the red flags don't wave, they whisper. And if someone tells you their mom called them the devil, believe them. I met Evan last November time. He had just come out of an engagement 6 months prior, but he told me he was in therapy, working on himself, and had done a lot of reflecting. I was cautious, but I liked him. We went out on 4 dates, and each one was better than the last. Our conversations were effortless. He'd text me good morning before I even opened my eyes, and good night just as I was putting my phone away. He was affectionate but respectful, confident but not arrogant. He listened when I spoke. Really listened. And he remembered everything. My favorite wine. My least favorite movie trope. The fact that I hate cilantro. Every time we hung out, I kept thinking, is this what it feels like when it's just right? But there was this little flicker of doubt in the back of my mind. I couldn't put my finger on it. It wasn't anything he said or did necessarily. It was more of a feeling. You know, like the energy was just off. Not always. Just sometimes. A moment here, a pause there, a hesitation when I asked him certain questions. I couldn't tell if I was imagining it or if there was something he wasn't telling me. Then after our fourth date, I noticed things started to shift. He grew distant. Not dramatically, just subtle changes. Slower replies. Less texting. No more good morning messages. I brushed it off at first. Maybe he's busy. Maybe he's tired. Maybe I'm reading into it. But then I saw he was still active on the dating apps. And not just Hinge. He was on Bumble, Tinder, and even Raya. Like full court press on all platforms. That was the moment the flicker of doubt became a full-blown alarm bell. So I sent him a text. A kind, respectful one. I told him I'd really enjoyed getting to know him, but it seemed like we were in different places. I said I was looking for something serious, and I wasn't getting the sense that he was on the same page. I wished him well, and he didn't respond. Not even a thanks for the honesty. Just silence. I won't lie, it stung. I wasn't in love with him or anything, but I had allowed myself to hope. And that tiny piece of hope had cracked a little when he ghosted. Fast forward a few months later. I'm on Raya, scrolling through the usual mix of DJs, wellness entrepreneurs, and tech guys who think a selfie with a tiger is a personality trait. And suddenly, there he is. Evan. Same smirk. Same photos. I hesitate for a second, and then I swipe right. Just to see. He matches with me almost immediately, and minutes later, I get a message. Hey, I'm so sorry about the way things ended. I wasn't in a great place. Hope you're doing well. It was vague. Half apology, half rekindling attempt. But it was enough to confirm what I'd suspected all along. He hadn't been ready. Not really. Not for me. Not for what I wanted. I took a deep breath and replied, Thanks. I hope you're doing better now. Wishing you the best. And that was it. I didn't give him more. I didn't ask questions. I didn't open the door again. Now here's where the story takes a turn. When we first started dating, I had posted Evan's profile to a private group I'm in. I won't say the name of the group, but if you know, you know. It's a confidential space where women share info on men they've dated, especially men who seem suspicious, emotionally unsafe, or possibly double-dealing. It's not for gossip. It's for protection. When I posted Evan's profile back then, no one responded. So I assumed he was in the clear. But a few months after we ended things, I got a message from someone in the group. She said she'd also dated Evan, and that he had told her he was divorced, not recently out of an engagement. She said he had love-bombed her, too. Same patterns, same lines, same sudden withdrawal. Another woman chimed in. Same story. Turns out, Evan had a whole pattern. He'd find women who were emotionally open, ready for something real, hold space for them just long enough to build a connection, and then vanish. Or worse, string them along. He wasn't looking for love. He was looking for validation. That's when I realized I hadn't been imagining it. The flickers of doubt, the subtle shifts, the gut feelings, they were all real. I just hadn't trusted myself enough to act on them sooner. This whole thing taught me something important. When someone tells you they're still healing, believe them. When someone seems too perfect, ask why. And when your intuition whispers, something's not right, listen. Because sometimes it's not you overthinking. Sometimes it's your body picking up on the truth before your heart is ready to see it. So this all starts when I match with a guy named Joe on Tinder. And at first, he seems totally normal. Cute, even. He has that kind of nerdy but hot thing going for him. Dark hair, glasses, a quiet smile. We start talking on Snapchat. He never asked for my number, which should have been a red flag now that I think about it. We chat for a few days, mostly about movies, music, and how boring our college town is. Then he asks me to come over and hang out. Now I have a rule. I do not meet up with guys from dating apps alone, especially not at their place. So I tell Joe that I'll come over, but I'm bringing my best friend Megan with me. Megan and I are like a package deal. We've been glued together since high school, and we rarely go anywhere solo. She's down for the adventure, and I'm thinking, cool. We'll watch a movie, hang out for an hour, and peace out. Joe lives near campus, so Megan and I drive over and park close to the door. He texts, I'll come get you guys, and a few minutes later, there he is. In person, he looks exactly like his pictures, kind of pale, a little awkward, but nothing that would scream danger. He greets us politely, and we head inside. His apartment is fine. Small, a little dark, kind of cold. but nothing out of the ordinary. He doesn't have a lot of furniture or decorations, but hey, he's a college guy. Not exactly expecting Martha Stewart. He suggests putting on a movie. I say sure. He picks a horror film, something I typically wouldn't watch, but I'm trying to be chill. It's about a cannibal. Like full-on human eating, no subtlety cannibalism. I laugh it off and say, "You really went all in, huh?" And he just smiles and says, "It's one of my favorites." Okay, so we're maybe 45 minutes into this movie, and I have to pee. I ask where the bathroom is, and he points me down the hall. Megan stays on the couch with him, chatting. I figure she's getting the scoop while I'm gone. Typical best friend intel gathering. I get to the bathroom, close the door, and sit. I'm facing the wall with the toilet, so I don't notice the painting behind me until I stand up to wash my hands. It's a painting of a man eating a leg. Not a chicken leg, a human leg. And the man in the corner looks exactly like Joe. I freeze. I turn and stare at it for a few seconds, trying to convince myself that I'm seeing it wrong. Maybe it's just a weird art piece. Maybe it's not him. Except it is. The hair, the glasses, the jawline. It's him. I text Megan. Come to the bathroom. Right now. She walks in and sees the look on my face. What's wrong? I point to the painting. She stares at it. Her eyes widen. Ashley, is that him? I nod. Then she says the worst possible sentence. I need to check the fridge. I'm like, what? No. Absolutely not. We need to leave. But Megan, being Megan, insists. If he's a cannibal, don't you want to know? No. No, I do not. But she's already hatched a plan. She walks back into the living room and says casually, "Hey, I'm really thirsty. Mind if I grab a water from the fridge?" Joe stands up. "Oh no, I'll get it for you." She freezes. "It's okay, I can grab it." He smiles. I insist. "Sit down." Now we're both on edge. She sits, and he walks into the kitchen. We hear the fridge open and close, and he comes back with a bottle of water. Megan takes it, says thank you, and we sit there in uncomfortable silence. After a few minutes, Megan leans over and whispers, "We need another excuse." I didn't get to look, so we come up with a plan. I say, "Hey, Megan's not feeling great. She left her meds in the car. Can you walk out with us real quick?" Joe hesitates. "You parked right out front, right?" "Yeah, but it's dark and she's dizzy. Just to be safe." He agrees. We throw on our jackets and walk out with him. As soon as we're outside, Megan whispers, "I'm going back in." I grab her arm. "No, we're leaving." She says, 5 minutes. "Just keep him out here." So I start fake fumbling for keys, pretending I forgot something. She slips back into the apartment. She's gone for 2 minutes. When she comes back, her face is white. We get in the car. I lock the doors. I say, "What did you see?" She looks straight ahead and says, "There's a crock pot in his fridge. Inside it is a finger." Me, a finger? Her, a human finger, floating in some kind of brown liquid. I can't breathe. I'm frozen. "Are you sure it was real?" She nods. "Real enough." We drive away. Fast. I don't even remember the route home. I was shaking the whole way. When we get home, she immediately calls the non-emergency police line and reports what she saw. They ask for the address and say they'll look into it. Weeks go by. We don't hear anything. I keep checking the local news. Nothing. Until one day, I see a headline. Local man arrested after human remains found in apartment. It's Joe. Apparently, they found more than just a finger. I won't go into detail, but it was bad. Like, keep you awake at night bad. I still don't know what would have happened if I had gone over there alone. If Megan hadn't been with me. If I had eaten or drank anything. If I hadn't gone to the bathroom and seen that painting. But I do know this. Never meet someone from a dating app at their place. Never ignore your gut. And if your best friend says, "Let me check the fridge," let her. I matched with this woman, Priya, on Hinge. She was beautiful. Like, stunning. We messaged for about a month. The banter was great. She was witty, sharp, had great taste in music. We had a few FaceTime calls, and she was real, which, trust me, is not always guaranteed. We talked about everything. Our families, food, travel dreams, career goals. She mentioned she was close with her family, but didn't go into detail. I assumed family-oriented meant Sunday dinners and group texts, not full-blown matchmaking. So after a few weeks, we agreed to meet up for dinner. She picks the place, a nice Indian restaurant just outside the city. I'm talking linen tablecloths, low lighting, the smell of cardamom and cloves hitting you before you even open the door. I show up 10 minutes early because I'm a punctual guy and also because I like to scope out the vibe. I sit in my car scrolling through TikTok, waiting for her text. At exactly 6:30, she messages, "Hey, I'm here." I reply, "Awesome. On my way to the front now." She responds, "Perfect. I'll come meet you outside." So I get out of my car, smooth down my shirt, and head toward the restaurant entrance. I see her walking toward me, looking amazing. She's wearing this flowy dress that's effortlessly elegant, and she gives me a quick hug. I'm thinking, cool. She's real. She's here. Let's do this. We walk inside, and I follow her through the restaurant. She leads the way like she's been here before. As we approach a table, she gestures toward it and says, "This is us." There are already 2 people sitting there. An older couple, dressed formally. The woman is wearing a sari. The man is in a blazer. They look up at me with expectant eyes. I stop in my tracks. Smile frozen. My brain is buffering. Priya turns to me and says, "Zach, these are my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Patel." I blink. Once. Twice. I laugh nervously, thinking this must be a prank. "Wait, what?" She smiles like it's the most natural thing in the world. "Yeah, I thought this would be fun. A little different, right?" "Different?" This is an ambush. Still stunned, I reach out and shake their hands. "Nice to meet you, Mr. and Mrs. Patel." I sit down slowly, like I'm defusing a bomb. Mr. Patel doesn't smile. He looks me dead in the eye and says, "So, you're the one interested in my daughter." I want to say, I thought this was a first date, not a job interview, but instead I nod and say, "Yes, sir." He leans forward. "Tell me about your career." I tell him I work in digital media, branding strategy, content development, a little bit of consulting. I mention that I also do content creation on the side. He interrupts. "Are you a doctor?" "No." "Lawyer?" "No." "Engineer?" "No, sir." He frowns. "Then what exactly do you do again?" I explain it again, slower this time. He nods, but the disapproval is palpable. Like I just said I make balloon animals for a living. Meanwhile, Priya is just sitting there sipping her water like this is a normal Thursday night. Then Mr. Patel says, "Can you call your parents? We'd like to speak with them." I laugh, thinking he's joking. He isn't. I say, "They're not local. They live out of state." He looks disappointed. "It's important that both families are involved early. How else will we know if this is a good match?" "A good match?" I glance at Priya, who's now quietly scrolling through the menu like her father isn't trying to plan an engagement. I excuse myself to go to the restroom. I stand at the sink, staring into the mirror, whispering to myself, what the actual hell is going on? I go back to the table. Mr. Patel is now asking about my finances. "Do you own property? How much do you make annually?" I deflect with polite vagueness, and then Mrs. Patel jumps in. "Do you want children? How soon?" I look at Priya again. She's still sipping water like this is a speed round on The Bachelorette, parental edition. I excuse myself again, this time texting my friend Jason. "Emergency. Call me in 5 minutes. Act like you're in pain." 5 minutes later, my phone rings. I answer dramatically. "Wait, what? What hospital? I'll be right there." I hang up and look at the table. "I am so sorry. My friend just got in a car accident. I need to go check on him." Mr. Patel raises an eyebrow. "Will you be back?" I say, "Probably not tonight." Priya stands up. "I'll walk you out." We step outside, and I take a breath. "Priya, what the hell was that?" She shrugs. "I told you in my bio, it's either this or an arranged marriage. This was a trial run." "A trial run for what? Marriage?" "This was our first date." She tilts her head. "I just wanted to see how you'd handle it." "Handle it?" I want to scream. Instead, I say, "You know what? I think I handled it by not running out screaming. But this was a lot, and not okay." She looks at me like I'm overreacting. "My parents liked you. I think it went well." I laugh. They asked about my salary, my fertility plans, and my property holdings within 30 minutes. She shrugs again. "Better now than later, right?" I don't respond. I just walk to my car and drive away. As soon as I'm out of the lot, I block her number. Later that week, I get a message request on Instagram from a random account. It's her mom. "We enjoyed meeting you. Please reconsider. Priya is ready to settle down." I never responded to her. Alright, buckle up, because I'm about to tell you the story of a date so uncomfortable, so viscerally awkward, that I still think about it sometimes while staring blankly at the ceiling. I call it the peanut eczema double whammy, and while I've had some weird encounters in the dating world, this one reached a level of unexpected that I was not, nor will I ever be, prepared for. So I matched with Brittany on Bumble. Cute girl, early 30s, had a big smile in every photo, and her bio said something like, obsessed with peanut butter, iced coffee, and true crime. Pretty standard stuff. She messaged me first. You look like you have a good dog. I do. And we started talking. A couple of days in, we moved the chat to text. The vibe was decent. She seemed a bit chaotic, but in that fun, quirky way. I chalked it up to nerves or enthusiasm. We set up a date for the following Thursday. I picked a casual but nice restaurant. Nothing too fancy, but not fast food either. I got there first, grabbed a table, and waited. She showed up about 5 minutes later, wearing a floral dress and sneakers. She gave me a quick hug, sat down, and said, I'm so hungry I could eat a small family. Okay. Noted. We ordered drinks, and she launched into a monologue about her ex. I hadn't even taken one sip of my beer before she began the saga. She told me he was a narcissist, that he had cheated on her with his boss, and that she had once thrown all his stuff out of their apartment while he was at work. I nodded along, trying to look engaged, but also quietly wondering if I had made a mistake. I'm all for honesty, but maybe not within the first 5 minutes? Maybe save the burned his hoodie in the bathtub story for a second date? Anyway, the waitress comes to take our order. Now, I have a mild peanut allergy. Nothing life-threatening, but enough to make me break out in hives and feel like I swallowed sandpaper. I always flag it, just to be safe. So I tell the waitress, hey, just FYI, I have a peanut allergy. Even small amounts are a problem. She nods, makes a note, and leaves. That's when Brittany looks at me and says, oh my God, that's tragic. I literally eat peanut butter every day. I chuckle. Yeah, it's not ideal. She leans in. No, seriously. I keep a jar in my purse. I laugh, thinking she's joking. She reaches into her bag, pulls out a half-used jar of Jif. Like it's a wallet. I wish I were making this up. She says, I just like to be prepared. I get anxious without it. I nod slowly, trying to process whether this is quirky or concerning. I land somewhere between oddly charming and potential red flag. I joke, well, I guess I shouldn't kiss you then. She pauses, dead serious. That's actually a good point. And then she puts the jar back into her bag like that was the most normal interaction ever. The food arrives. I ordered a burger, she got a salad. She takes one bite and grimaces. What's wrong? I ask. She says, I think the dressing has sunflower oil. I'm allergic. I'm like, wait, what? You're allergic to sunflower oil? She nods. It makes my mouth feel fuzzy, but I'll just power through. I say, you sure? We can get you something else. She waves me off. Nah, I'll be fine. I'm used to it. Used to it? Used to allergic reactions? I try to shift the conversation to something lighter. I ask her about her job. She's a graphic designer, mostly freelance. She starts showing me her portfolio on her phone, which is cool, until she pulls up a photo of a foot. I blink. Oh, what's that for? She says, oh, that's my eczema. It flared up last month. I documented it for my dermatologist. Now listen, I'm not a squeamish guy, but this foot looked like it had been through a war. Swollen, cracked, peeling skin. Like someone had tried to bake it and forgot to take it out halfway. I try to be polite. That looks painful. She nods. Yeah, I couldn't wear shoes for a week. Want to see the worst one? Before I can say no, thank you, she's scrolling to another image. This time, it's her elbow. Same situation. Red, raw, angry skin. She zooms in. I put down my fork. She says, I've had eczema since I was a kid. It gets really bad when I'm stressed, which is like all the time. I smile weakly. I'm sorry to hear that. She goes, it's worse when I eat things I'm allergic to, but I do it anyway because I love food too much. I nod, wondering how I can exit this date without faking a medical emergency. Then she says, you want to know something else crazy? Sure. Why not? Let's go for the hat trick. She leans in and whispers, I sometimes wonder if I have rabies. I blink. A what? She laughs. I'm probably fine, but sometimes I Google the symptoms just to be sure. I ask, have you been bitten by anything? She shrugs. Not recently. Not recently? I decide to wrap things up. I say, hey, this has been interesting, but I've got an early morning tomorrow. She frowns. Oh, already? I nod. Yeah, I've got a meeting first thing. She says, can I come with you? I laugh, thinking she's kidding. She doesn't laugh back. I say, I don't think my boss would love that. She stares at me for a second, then says, okay, I guess I'll just walk home. I offer to call her a car. She declines. We walk out together. I thank her for dinner. She looks me in the eye and says, you're not going to ghost me, are you? I say, no. Of course not. We part ways. I never texted her again.